Hello people, my name is Jeff. Today we are going to be reacting to The Penguin episode 3. If you were watching the last episode, which you should watch right now, in fact you should watch my reaction to episodes 1 and 2 before you watch this, and of course make sure you've watched episode 3 of The Penguin before you watch this, because spoilers are abound. But regardless of all that, I want to say thank you really quick, because if you did watch the last episode, you know that I said that I was going to be away for a little bit, so this reaction was going to come out a little bit later. So thank you so much for your patience, but I think you're going to like this one. But before we start this video, please make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, comment below, and of course subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss another reaction. Now let's get into it. So going into this episode, I was looking for one specific thing. And the main thing I was looking for was the perspective of another character, another person. I wanted to see the world through their view, not just those two anymore. We needed something else, something different, because there's so many characters in this show, but it felt like they hadn't really been fleshed out, and we hadn't really got to see their wants and their dreams and their passions and even their trauma. And that's exactly what we got at the start of this episode, in episode 3. So obviously this episode, if you've seen the show at this point, I'll explain it to you. If you really just don't want to watch, you should watch, but I'll explain it to you regardless. Opens up with this scene of Victor going to see his family in their apartment in Gotham. And what we see is that this is actually a scene from the past. Eventually, obviously, he meets his girlfriend and a couple of his friends on a rooftop. And this is right during the events of Riddler's destruction of the seawall that destroys much of Gotham, and obviously, as we kind of probably all assumed, was the thing that ended up killing his family, killing his parents and his sister. And now we are seeing like the real impacts of what the Riddler did. And what I love about that too, in general, and I'm gonna get to this more, is that we're seeing the impacts of what this did. Like before, we got some allusion to it. We saw, it's affecting Gotham, but we didn't really get it in such a tangible way, especially with a character that we know. Everybody else so far that we had seen has basically been unaffected, and then for Victor, we really saw how this was affecting him. And what we saw throughout the show is that it seems like that this has maybe given him his stutter, that it actually is caused by PTSD or something like that. But in general, this was just really refreshing, and it was a great scene, a really emotional scene. We got to see Victor in a very different element, where he's very confident, where he knows what's going on, and it was nice to see him with his girlfriend. It was like so different, because you could see him like really voice what he wants, even with his dad too originally. You can see how they kind of butt heads, and how he wants something more out of life, where his dad's very content. He's happy with what he has, because before he really didn't have much. In general, great scene, but it wasn't the last one, and I was happily surprised by that. I really thought they just saved it for the beginning, but nope, there was a lot more. For me, this episode, generally, I'll just give it away, best episode for me by far, not even close. I think this is such a great piece of TV, a great piece of storytelling, but let's get into all of that. In general, what I think this whole episode had was heart. It had real values, real connections, especially between a lot of these characters, a lot between Penguin and Victor. It's really starting to evolve into something. You can tell, like, despite Penguin's sort of manipulative tendencies, that he really does care about Victor. You can see that he likes him, outside of him just like, wanting something for him and wanting to kind of put his impression onto a young person to, raise them and all that, and bring them up, mentor them almost. You can see that they are really evolving, that they really do connect. That I think generally that Penguin really does care about Victor. He cares about his story. He cares about where he's from, and you can see that he even cares about his family, even though he doesn't even know them, which is something that really adds to the Penguin's character. He's not just this crazy guy. He's not just this guy who, just feeling sorry for himself or anything like that. He really does have a bit more of a heart. He has a lot more to him. And we also saw that, him and Sofia's dynamic has changed a lot, obviously, now that they're partners. It's less antagonistic. We saw throughout the show that, Sofia obviously has some issues with him, and Johnny Vitti revealed to us that he was actually one of the people that basically got her committed to Arkham, because he kind of ratted on her to her dad Carmine. And that was an interesting one. I didn't see that one coming at all, but I love that little piece that they just, they didn't have to tell us throughout the whole other 2 episodes, and they just drop it in there that he was in fact her driver, and that he did all this stuff for him. It really did. They did a lot of great things, especially in this episode, of not giving too much away. They didn't do too much exposition throughout the whole thing. They really, they let their words and what they were showing us tell the whole story, and that is so beautiful. So beautiful. I love to see it. But going back to Penguin and Sofia's relationship, it's funny because their relationship and their dynamic as, a team works so well, but also it can't work that well in the end, because in the end their goals are so completely selfish and internal and emotional and guided by ego and everything, that there's no way that this will end up good. But at the same time, they're such a perfect pair together, and I really love their scenes together, whereas they were, making their deals with everybody else. My favorite scene of all, though, was the one in the club, where, the music was great, the sound design was great, the visuals were incredible, and the dialogue was perfect. I think especially with Sofia's sort of monologue there, that and with Victor's scene, it's like, you truly do not have to watch the Batman to get this show, and you don't have to have been explained too much, because they're also not over explaining. They're not beating over the head with it. Like we don't need to be told 1,000 times that Riddler did X, Y, or Z, right? It's just that we see it one time, they mention it one time, and the way Sofia talks about how the city is looking to just recover from its trauma, from the damage that's been done to it. It's really beautiful, and I really just generally loved that scene. I really loved how it really just encapsulated the mood of Gotham in general. And I think that is a great example of how they just didn't say too much. She didn't need to say a whole lot. It was right there in front of you. And you can tell that it mattered to the Dow. It really convinced him that he needed them, and that they actually maybe understood things a little better, because she was so much closer to the ground and could understand the people of Gotham, especially maybe because she's even tried this drug, right? So it was really, really cool scene. The whole Bliss thing is a very interesting thing. I wonder how that might turn out too. Maybe even comes up in the next movie potentially. I feel like they're almost dropping it there, because I think it's potentially a setup for things in the future. And I feel like we're probably going to see how this drug actually affected Sofia further down, which has got me really, really interested, and I hope you are too. Also, just the lighting, the cinematography, the look of this episode looked great. It looked amazing, versus the other two episodes where it just looked so bad. And this episode really captured, the darkness, and they really stuck to those darker scenes, which really, really helped it. Not that they need to be exclusively like that, because obviously there was a scene with Victor and Penguin in the restaurant there that was bright, and it looked great. It still looked good. I think they figured it out visually, which was really good to see, and I'm happy about that, because that was something that was honestly really bugging me. And I think in general, they just knocked it out of the park. And on top of that, they stuck the landing at the end with the great cliffhanger. And what I love about it is we don't really know what happened in that exchange. We don't know what the Maronis said to the Penguin or to Sofia, and now at the end, Victor obviously comes back, saves the day for the Penguin, but we don't know what's happened to Sofia, and how maybe this will immediately end her relationship with Penguin, as he just mended fences with her. Wow, yeah, what an ending. What a great way to end that episode. It just creates a lot of intrigue for me. How are the Falcones going to react to this? Are they going to respect Sofia anymore? I doubt it. How will she react? And obviously, I think we all, we know that she's probably still going to be the Hangman. I don't think that they've changed that in any way. And just to the degree of what she did is going to be interesting to me, because she's so keen on hiding this from people. And it seems like Oswald on some levels believes that she isn't the Hangman, which is super interesting to me. Maybe she isn't, I don't know, because if he is so convinced, and it seems like he maybe does know them pretty well, maybe she isn't, but I guess it does put a slight seed of doubt in my head. But honestly, I kind of doubt. I think she is, but I guess we probably will see in the next episode. I feel like they left her out of that ending there for a reason, because we've obviously seen some scenes and clips with her back in the asylum, which I think is probably what's going to be the next episode. Super intrigued by it all. That was incredible. Please let me know your thoughts below on this episode. I'd love to know what you thought of it. Drop a like if you like this video. Remember to subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you all in the next one.